To my video on the Crunchy Frog strategy from Twitter, which concentrates on betting on the test matches in cricket. So this is going to be week one. I will go through a couple of the games that I have bet and talk about those results and also talk about this strategy and how I'm going to follow it for the foreseeable future, probably out to at least 6 months a year, so everyone can actually see how it's going in real time. So, what is a Crunchy Frog strategy? Basically, there is an account on X or Twitter, as people know it, called Crunchy Frog, and he has been putting up statistics around cricket test matches and a few other sports, but I'm going to just concentrate on the cricket test matches and how they would have performed at level stakes over the last few years and over the Test Championships, which has been going on in the cricket. So you can see here, basically, he covers things like laying the draw, backing the second favourite, backing the away team, the home team, etc. So there's not that many people that do follow him. He's only got 1,200 followers, but it's very interesting information and a very simple strategy to follow that appears to be profitable. So let's see how it goes. So looking at his first image that he puts up, you can see here that he's basically put down for the last, 17 years, how you would have gone had you laid the draw, backed the underdog, laid the second favourite, backed the favourite, laid the underdog, laid the favourite, backed the second favourite, and backed the draw. So lots of different options there on what you could have gone with. And you'll see there that the highest value is lay the draw, and a lot of people know that you can basically lay the draw in cricket pre-match and you should end up in front. So you can see there that basically had you basically laid the draw, you would have made $7,500. Had you backed the underdog over all that time, you would have ended up $4,610 in front. And had you laid the second favourite, you would have been up almost 3,000, and backing the favourite would have been up almost 2,000. After that, pretty much everything has been negative, with backing the draw being the biggest loser with a loss of 23,743, and part of that will be due to the commission that you have to pay, plus losing on those matches. So look, everyone knows you can lay the draw that gets involved in cricket markets, and people do follow it. So if that is something you want to follow, it's a nice simple thing. It just means if there's no draw, you are going to win. If there is a draw, well, obviously you end up losing your stake on that. The draw over 5 days is unlikely to happen in most instances these days because of the way teams like England play, where they're very aggressive. There's also a lot of matches that you can generally avoid if you're following the weather, as the weather is what causes a fairly big impact on drawn matches these days in cricket. But I'm not going to follow that one because that just is too easy for people to follow. And there's a lot of people that do it, and you're going to be trying to get in on the draw, and it's just no fun. It's a pretty boring strategy. Yes, you can make money with it. Boring is good to make money. Laying the draw is a very simple way of doing that. But let's have a little bit more fun with it and test out a bit of a different strategy here. So I'm going to refer to his second set of results, which is based on the teams. And you can see here a different set, basically staking £100 on every team based on their odds in those matches. So you'll see there's basically been 126 matches all up. Of those, 46 were won by the away side, 69 was won by the home side, and 11 of those were drawn. So again, if you had backed the draw, you would have been down a significant amount, $7,801, with a 62% loss on the money you invested. So backing the draw, obviously not a very good thing to be doing there. Again, if you'd backed the home side, you would have been down just on £500, which is a 4% loss. Now that would have been after commissions, is my understanding of these, and you just would have just been down basically on that commission. Now, if you'd backed the away side, you would have had a fairly terrible strike rate of 46 out of 126. So you're only really winning a little bit over 30% of the time, but you would have ended up with a profit of $8,500 and a return on your investment of 67%. The best team there being West Indies, returning 136% on your invested stake of 2,100. So generally you can see in cricket, if there is an upset, you're going to be going pretty good, especially with the away team. And cricket can be one of those games where if you get a partnership happening between the two batsmen, they can win a game just with that partnership. So it's not unheard of teams like the West Indies beating Australia and India. It can happen. There's even been situations where, Afghanistan has really put a lot of pressure on the top sides. So I'm going to be looking at this table and basically backing both the home and the away side with a bit of a progressive staking to see if we can come out in front when those upsets occur. Now, technically, best approach here would be just back the away sides, use a very small progressive or level stakes, and you're probably going to come out in front there when an upset gets up. But you're going to have a fairly shocking strike rate on that. So to minimize the number of losing games that we end up with, I'm going to include backing the home side as well. So out of the 126 matches, we would have won 115. When I say won, we may have still come out negative on those games, but we wouldn't have lost our entire stake. So we're basically hedging with those home sides, knowing that it's a negative EV position, to increase our strike rate. And yes, again, backing both sides is equivalent to laying the draw, but it's going to give us a bit more variability in our profit and loss, in that if an away side gets up, we're going to win 4, 5, 6 times our money, versus the laying the draw where we're going to get, probably 10%, sometimes a little bit more, 20% max on what we invested in that game. So it's going to move around our profit loss line a little bit more interesting. It's going to make it a bit more fun for the progressive staking, and we'll see how we go. Boring can be good to make profits. Doing things like this where you're backing both sides, level stake, and creating that variability kind of keeps the interest and the excitement in what you're doing. Excitement doesn't always mean the best profits, but sometimes having a bit of excitement does keep you following the strategy a lot more than boring, let's lay the draw, make 10%. So let's have a quick look at the options. So as I said, we can lay the draw, we can back the away team, or we can back both teams, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to back both teams. And again, I can do level staking or I can do progressive staking. So I'm going with a progressive staking one here, knowing that based on those stats that the Crunchy Frog has recorded, I should have an edge overall on the games going forward over the next year. So even if I hit a losing streak, I should eventually get one of those upsets to bring me back into profit, and those profits should be a large jump if I've had a few losses running up to that. So I'm going with progressive staking. I'm going to start with $50 on each team, and if we're at the account high, we would just bet $50 on each of the home and away teams. And then for every $100 that we end up dropping, we'll increase it by $50. So the steps are basically going to be 50, 100, 150, 200, etc. So it's not going to be like a martingale where we're doubling and it gets out of control. I can basically, lose $1,000 and we'll be betting 500. It will slightly ramp up based on this, but we're going to be winning 90 odd percent based on the statistics, 90 odd percent, 85, 90% of the matches. It shouldn't increase to a dramatic level where I'm betting thousands upon thousands of dollars per match. I do expect it will at times creep up, and that's okay. We get that win and then it'll come back. So let's look at what happened this week, because I did start it this week. There were two games this week, Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh and England versus India. So I've outlaid basically $200. So $50 on Sri Lanka, $50 on Bangladesh, $50 on England, $50 on India. The Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh game has finished. It ended up being a draw. Surprise, the first match we get on was a draw. So we lost $100 on that game. The second game, England versus India, is currently going into day 3. The draw is about a 30% chance at the moment. We will see what ends up coming out of that. If that ends in a draw, so be it. The odds that we got on for that game, if England win, we will lose about $8.50 because they were under $2. If India wins, we win about $35 from memory, and that will start to bring the profit back. Now, the next stake is going to be going on the next test match for Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh, which starts on Wednesday. The stake will be $50 if India wins this match against England, or it will be $100 per team if India loses. So if India loses, we will basically be up over the $100 mark. So we will increase our bets on that match to $100 per team to see what happens. So that match is starting on the 25th of June. I believe there is an Australia versus West Indies test match also starting on the 26th of June, which is Thursday. We will go with whatever stake we are on at that point, so it will likely be $100 per team, and we will see how we end up next weekend. It will likely be that the games are either almost done or hopefully completed, and we have a winner, so that we can then work out our next position before the next England versus India game starts, which I believe is around the beginning of July. But yep, so that's it pretty much. Let's see how it goes. Current profit loss is down 100, but I think this will be a bit fun. Stakes could increase, get a bit exciting, and we'll see how we end up in a few months. We've had at least 2 games first week, which is great, and we're going to have at least 2 games the second week. There will be weeks where there are no games at all, especially when there's 1 day tournaments on and the IPL's on and things like that. But we should get quite a few test matches going between now and the end of year, so we should get a fairly good idea of will this work by the end of the year. And if it does work, if it doesn't work, at least get some findings out of it and see if our numbers match up with what the Crunchy Frogs numbers look like. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If you've got questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Do you lay the draw? Do you think this will work? Do you think this will at least be exciting? What kind of questions do you have if you're not interested or don't know about cricket? Do you have questions about why I'm doing this, how it works? Let me know, and I'll answer all the comments. But look out for a update each week, probably on the Sunday, maybe during the week if I get a chance to do it. I may try to put up an update at the end of each of the games where possible as well. So let's see how we go. Fingers crossed we get a profit out of this, and it's something that at the end of the year we can say, yep, this strategy works. Let's keep following it. Okay, thanks everyone. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, hit the like button. If you haven't seen my AFL and NRL videos, you can check those out, although this week they have not gone great, but long term they are profitable as well. Okay, thanks everyone, and look out for the next video.